On today's episode of Path Monk Presents, I have a very special guest with me here. Please welcome Mike Maynard, who is the owner of Napier Partnership Limited. So for all of you who don't know, Napier is a PR-led full-service marketing agency that specializes in B2B technology sector, and they work closely with their clients to build campaigns focusing on achieving results to have significant impact overall. Mike, it's an honor to have you join us this morning. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for having me on the podcast, Maria.
Yeah, definitely. So for all of our listeners out there, tell us, what is Napier all about? What do you guys do?
So we're a marketing agency, but we're actually a marketing agency focused on a specific area. So we focus specifically in business to business. We don't do any consumer marketing, and we focus solely in the tech sector. And primarily, by what we mean by that is areas where people are selling technical products to technical buyers. That could be engineering products, or it could be, a technical piece of software for use in a business. And what we do is we work with clients, and fundamentally, our benefit is we help accelerate the velocity of prospects going through our clients' funnel. So we take them from awareness to opportunity in less time.
Oh, wow, that's incredible. So I know you mentioned that you mainly focus on the tech sector, but are there any other industries that your company also caters to as well?
That's a great question. I mean, the answer is everything is technical, and a lot of B2B products are technical. But where we're working with is we're really reaching audiences that are making a technical decision. So generally, they have a specialist expertise. So they could be engineers who are building, electronics products, or they could be operations directors trying to get software that manages their business better. So really everything is technical. We don't really do anything that's non-technical. I started my career as an engineer, so I guess I'm a bit of a geek, and that's why we do techie stuff.
All right, super cool. You don't mind me asking, what type of engineer? Like mechanical, cybersecurity, computer engineer?
Yeah, lovely question. No, I started my career as an electronics design engineer. I designed everything from radar systems through to mixing desks for recording studios, and then eventually moved into marketing. But it all started with electronics.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. Really cool backstory. I love that. So what would you say is your top client acquisition channel? Are we mainly talking digital marketing, inbound, SEO, or content, or would you say it's a mix of a lot of things?
I mean, that's a really hard question, because actually what we do is we help clients create content and then get that content in front of their audience. So we talk about content creation and content distribution. And sometimes it's really hard to point to a particular channel that is, what we're using for one client, because we might create, and in the world of technology, white papers are still a big thing, or an ebook or a video. And then we might use that across multiple channels. And we find generally using more than one channel is more effective. So quite often there'll be some content that we might be pitching for PR into publications. We might be using it on social, and we might also have a version of that content on the website as well. So to be honest, for us, it's not a question of which channel is best. It's a question of how do we use more channels together to make them overall more effective. Yeah,
for your case, it makes sense. All right. So thanks for sharing that with me. So we're going to switch gears here, and we're going to talk about the website. So what would you say are the major strengths of your company's website?
It's always hard when you're an agency getting asked about your website, because it's a bit like that. There's, this English phrase, I don't know if there's an international one, about cobbler's shoes. Cobblers never have great shoes because they focus on the shoes they're selling rather than the shoes they're wearing. And so I think, in a way, we're probably not focused enough. But if we look at what the website does today, it actually does fairly well at letting people understand who we are, what we do, most importantly, who we do it for. So our target audience, because if we have people outside of our B2B tech sector come to us, we just turn them away. We try and refer them to people, agencies we know, but it's not very helpful for us. So we're trying to really let potential clients, sort of self-qualify and work out whether we're a good fit or not. And then it does quite a good job of engaging people through the blog. So we have regular news stories, and that's quite an important part of our website. So those are kind of the main things. And I think those are working pretty well. Some of the other stuff, I think, like everybody, there's room for improvement.
So then adding on to room for improvement, what are the, areas that you would like to focus on the website? Would it be, the main page, other pages, what would that be?
So I mean, there's a couple of things. We have some landing pages for lead generation. I think, like everybody else, we'd love to have 10 times that amount of content available to generate more leads. I mean, everybody is looking for more leads, more opportunities. So, you know, some of it is volume and actually doing more of that stuff that we're already doing. But I also think, to be honest, one of the issues we have with the website is it's really not a website that's personalized to people and to people's needs. And that really is sort of the next step in terms of our website. You know, like I say, as an agency, we do a lot of personalization work for other clients, and it's not something we've really allocated the resources to internally. So, you know, if you're looking for an area where we need to improve, personalization, I would say, is the key area.
Okay, sweet. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. So adding on to this, we're going to switch gears and we're going to talk about you as a leader. So since you're the owner and you probably wear a lot of different hats and your days look very, very different, but what does an average day look like for you in the office?
Well, the nice thing is we're back to the office now, you know, post-COVID. So I actually am one of the people who love working in the office. We've got an amazing team, and so a lot of my time is spent with the team, and that can be, you know, anything from training some of the newer team members all the way through to working on more challenging campaigns and coming up with ideas for our clients. So there's a lot of work, a lot of collaboration. We still obviously, you know, have some people remote. We actually have 3 offices in the UK and a few people who actually work remotely as well. So there's a lot of remote meetings, but to me, you know, the best bits about the day are sitting down with people in a meeting room and coming up with great ideas for campaigns. And so a lot of it is those kind of meetings, discussions, talking to people. You know, if we're doing well, obviously there's things like reviewing proposals and pitches and rehearsing pitches. So really, as you say, it's a great mix, but most of it is spent working with people rather than being sat on my own.
Yeah, definitely. And I do agree with you where when it's mainly focusing on collaborating, you're focusing on pitches and working with a team, it's easier when you're doing it in person because you're able to, you know, able to get from point A to point B a lot quicker. Yeah, you're able to like get tasks more done at a more efficient rate. At least from my experience as a marketer, it's a lot easier when you're doing it in person versus if it's, you know, on calls or if you're sending messages back. So.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think interaction works better face to face. I mean, things like reporting and updates and things like that. Actually, there's little benefit being in person. You can do that remotely, but certainly that you know, collaborating and working together. Totally agree with you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we're getting close to the end of our interview, and I've got some rapid fire questions for you. Are you ready?
Sure, go ahead.
Perfect. What is the last book that you read?
The last book I read, actually, I finished last night. Is a book called Up and to the Right. It was written by a guy called Steve Sangi, who was the CEO of Microchip. Microchip's a longtime client of ours. So that was the last one I read. He's just it's literally just been published. So.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm going to check that book out. I make a note. It sounds really interesting. So my next question is, if there were no boundaries in technology, what would be the one thing you would want to have fixed for your role as a marketer today?
I think the one thing that most people in an agency world would like to fix is being able to keep up with email. If there was some magic AI tool that meant you were never behind on your email, I think the world would be a much more lovely place for people. So that would be my ideal tool.
That I agree with you. With emails, it feels like they're never ending and they're always piling up. And then with trying to get through them by the end of the day or within the week, yes, that would be the perfect tool, honestly. So if there was one piece of advice that you could give yourself when you had first started your career, what would you tell yourself?
That's a fascinating question. I think it would be take more risks. I started as an engineer. Engineers are inherently conservative. You know, you're trying to design things that don't break. It's kind of almost the definition of being an engineer. So I came from a somewhat conservative education and background. And then I actually acquired Napier. I didn't found it, I acquired it. And I acquired it about 3 months before the .com crash. So we had this incredible, stressful event just after I bought the agency. And I think that made me and the agency a little bit overcautious. We perhaps in the early days didn't grow as fast as we could have done. And more recently, where I've been more prepared to take risks, and we've tried, the vast majority of time, the risks work out. And if they don't work out, the downside is usually less than you expect. So I wish I'd taken more risks earlier on.
I think that's something that we could all, take as well, where don't be afraid to take risks and don't be afraid to, make mistakes as you're learning throughout your career and in the process overall with growing. So definitely agree with you. So we're coming to the end of our interview, and I want to thank you so much for taking time to join us on PathMonk Presents, but I also want to give you the last word. If anyone were to forget about everything we've talked about today in your interview, what is one thing that you want them to remember about your company overall?
I think the thing to remember about our company is we are super focused on selling these technical B2B products or marketing these technical B2B products and helping those clients win sales. So we're all about talking to engineers, talking to technical decision makers. That's what we do really well. We actually don't really do anything else other than communicate with these kind of audiences. So from my point of view, it's all about, how we focus in terms of our clients. That's what makes us special. That's what makes us different. And that's what makes us, able to do things that other people can't because of that, complete focus and experience in that sector.
Sweet. Amazing. Thank you for sharing that with me. And for all of our listeners out there, check us out next week on PathMonk Presents.